It's 2016. We are living in digital age. Internet and connectivity are all around us. Content is flooded our networks and our profiles and our mobile phones. So why do we need commons at all in this digital age?
That's a good question. Commons, I mean, is something which obviously belongs to all of us. And you can say everything is available on the internet. But it's not so easy because commons, they don't exist by themselves because they are coming from common pool resources, and we need some rules and some regulations, some regulation to make them into usable commons. Knowledge is available, but you need some rules to make them commons. And among the rules, the most important is copyright rules that enables, but many times it disables the use of knowledge.
Yeah, but before we go to the copyright rules, why it's a problem that our collective knowledge is collected, processed, and distributed by private companies? Google is doing that really good. Facebook also. Like, we are all using these services, and they are saying these services are free.
They are free, and this is so-called free economics. I mean, Google, we don't pay any money for the service of Google, but of course, as you know, we pay with our data. And many other companies don't use that free economics model, but they use the traditional model because they have the right to use the published knowledge and other goods like water and the fish, and they make privatize. That's a long tradition in our societies that common goods are privatized and then they are sold and you have a price for them. It's the same model with Google, but we pay with a different currency. That's our data.
It's just the question when we're gonna have to start paying for search queries, or we have to add more of our data into the pool. So I clearly understand. So, and when we go back to the copyright, what are the main issues regarding copyright in this policy debate we are having in digital age, and what you think we should definitely change?
Yeah, copyright, I mean, it's still, it's quite a while, a couple of 100 years old, but it's a real problem only the last 20, 30 years. And the problem with the existing copyrighted relation is that the politicians think that information and knowledge is really a very important commodity, creates a lot of jobs, creates a lot of money, and it's more or less in private property. And the existing copyright, rather than enabling progress, innovation, and invention, they are protecting the business model of private companies. And not so much, it used to be the right of the owners, as the authors, the creators. It's still, officially, it's the right of the creator. It turns out to be more and more the right of the exploiters. And that's the real problem because private exploiters make knowledge and information a scarcity. A scarce resource, although it could be a very open and not commercial good.
But people are saying that we still have enough information online and so on, but is it enough for innovation and research?
No, definitely not, because of course there's more information publicly available than ever. But some of the information, particularly in science and education, that's more or less knowledge which is only published in commercial journals, and you only have access if you maybe have a good library, then you have access via the library, but the costs for these journals are prohibitive more, so other libraries cannot afford to buy all these things, and then you have to buy a journal article on the market, and sometimes you spend about $30, $40, $50 for a single article, and this information is not freely available. By Google, sometimes you get older information, and sometimes you're lucky, you get information which is not allowed to get there, but normally this information is only available by commercial resources. And it should be, and copyright, of course, makes some exceptions by the public interest. You have the right to use the information, but then, of course, you have to pay as well. So there's some limitations and exceptions to the exclusive right of the right owners, the exploiters, but this is not enough. They are very weak, and you have a lot of exceptions of the exceptions, and it turns out to be that the real existing copyright worldwide is more a disabling tool than an enabling tool, as it should be, particularly for science and education. And that's the reason why more and more creators, authors, scientists revolt against the existing system and they choose a different approach.
Nice. But do you think that it's feasible that we'll get some kind of fair use in the next period in Europe?
I mean, I don't know that we have a fair use principle as is the case in the United States, because we have a completely different system. That's a copyright system, and we have a system, what they call in German, Urheberrecht, the right of the authors. And that's a completely different, and a different tradition. It's more the utilitarian tradition in the United States, that the user's information has to be justified by the major purpose of society. And here we protect more and more the authors by themselves. And the authors, of course, have the right to give, by via contract, all their rights to exploiters, to commercial companies. So it's a different system, but maybe there will be a change in copyright, I hope, not in the foreseeable future, but I mean, sometime we have more an open copyright, which still protects the attribution rights of the author. So they have the right to the name of the creator of the work. Nobody can destroy their work. But all the exploitation rights are no longer necessary when information, knowledge from science is publicly available. And this is a tendency that it will be publicly available without any cost. That's a question of open access.
Yeah, and then for the end, how do you feel, what is really the importance of internet freedoms and digital rights at the moment, now in 2016, and what will be their importance in 5 or 10 years?
You mean digital rights for access to information, or in general? I mean, for access to information, it's very clear that every citizen in the society should have the right to have free, cost-free, and also free of use for publicly financed and publicly produced knowledge. And this is more or less a more moral behavior of the majority of the citizens. And I'm pretty sure that in a couple of years, open access in science education will be the general norm. The other way is a little bit more, even more difficult if it comes to data protection. And so maybe there's a little progress, because in the EU, the European community, they passed a new directive and just took in place beginning of this year, and all the states in Europe have to make their national law out of it within 2 years. And there's a little progress, so it's clear that every citizen has a right to over their private data. But the problem is really how to control that, how to control it. People think it's enough that you give consent for the free use and you sign a contract. If you use Google and Facebook and other, you sign without reading the whole contract, with sometimes 30 pages long, because you want to use it. But I think we are really in a step in our society life where we have to decide what we will do to secure our data or give it away. Some people think privacy is only left over from 19th century and it's no longer valid. We have to give it up. I'm not so sure. I think we still have to rely on our private data and need to control it. Have to be more careful. Not give it away as people in America do. I have no real solution, but I'm pretty sure the next 5-10 years we need to find a solution to keep the right to privacy, but also keep business going and relying on big data and exploit this data. That's the real challenge, more than with copyright.
Thank you very much.